You know, the thing I really enjoy about Nerf modding is the concept of taking something that's not popular, that's not great, that's kind of a forgotten about blaster, doing some modifications to it or changing its appearance and making it into something new is just something I absolutely love about the Nerf modding community. And today we have such a blaster. Many of you might remember the golden age of Nerf when Nerf Elite N-Strike came out. Now the Nerf Elite N-Strike line brought us so many good blasters, but there's one in particular that people just I believe have forgotten about, and that is the Delta Trooper. Now the Delta Trooper was a top primed Springer, which was kind of overshadowed by the Retaliator or the Recon. But thanks to a new designer that goes by Designer Gun, this blaster right here, the Delta Trooper, has new life. And today we're gonna talk about this cosmetic and upgrade kit known as the Arctic Wolf 767. Now we did do some modifications in here with some worker parts and some upgraded springs and catch and all that fun stuff. We're gonna talk about that in today's video. We're going to check this blaster's performance and give our overall impressions of this build. So let's go ahead and jump into today's video. So what exactly is the Arctic Wolf 767? Well, it's a kit created by Designer Gun in which it takes the Delta Trooper and converts it over to a forward pump action Springer. This is not a new thing. Worker actually did this many years ago. However, I gotta admit, this kit just looks phenomenal. It has a beautiful sci-fi, big, crazy looking blaster type of look to it. And I really do think this thing just turned out really cool. So let's talk about the upgrades. Now inside here, we did go with a worker short dart kit from Out of Darts, which comes with a 7-kilogram spring. Now for the scar, we used a resin scar, very similar to the standard plastic worker scar. However, this one has a little bit more rifling. Along with the short dart conversion, we also used this. This is a Dart Zone Pro adapter. And as you can see, I had to do a little bit of trimming on the side. But all in all, this thing worked really well with the worker short dart kit. Now this kit has a lot of printing and a lot of hardware and brass inserts. And to be honest, I've seen a lot of different 3D printed kits and file sets. I would say this set right here, very nice. Everything seems very well polished, easy to put together. It's actually very enjoyable. I built this blaster over the course of a few days, off and on with everything that was going on. And typically when I sat down and worked on this thing, it was very enjoyable and relaxing. Here's where things get really exciting. I built this more as, oh, it looks really amazing. It looks nice. It's gonna be a good wall hanger. I might be able to take it out in the field and play with it a little bit, but I didn't really envision myself running around with this thing in many games. However, let's take a look at this blaster's performance because I was very pleasantly surprised in its performance. Number one, first, let's look at those chronograph numbers. All of today's testing will be done with Out of Darts provided Worker Gen 3s. 150, 161, 151, 157, and duplicate. Yeah, that's some really good numbers for this blaster. I really wasn't expecting that. So yeah, upwards of 160. I was just blown away. Now keep in mind, there's a scar in there too, which typically scars lower FPS a little bit, which is a sacrifice, a little lower FPS for a little bit more accuracy. I'll always make that trade. And that brings us to our next point, the accuracy. This thing was extremely accurate at 50 feet.
We're gonna be using Worker Gen 3s. We're gonna try and see how many targets we can hit down at our 50-foot range.
I'm just blown away as to the performance of this thing. And keep in mind, we're talking about the Delta Trooper here. One of the biggest things about the Delta Trooper was its ability to slam fire. So if you love slam fire, this thing does it like a dream. Now for all of you out there that want to know how to get one of these, I will say Designer Gun pretty much reached out to me and said, hey, would you like to take a look at this? I feel like this is more of a beta test, but everything I've seen, this thing is pretty much ready to launch. He did provide a different stock, which kind of gets rid of this whole massive stock assembly, and I think it's more of a buffer tube stock. So if that's more of your style, there is that. I personally just love this big sci-fi looking stock, so I opted for this. This is a project that we will be following for a bit, so when files are available or when people are creating them or printing them or whatnot, I'll try to do updates to the community. But as of right now, I don't know if these files are available. I think he's really looking just to bring in some feedback to see how people receive this blaster. I personally love it. The instructions for this build were just really good. I gave him a little bit of feedback on the instructions, but overall they were very clear and easy to understand and done very well. Overall, I didn't have too many issues with this blaster. It was more just me getting to know the Delta Trooper, which is kind of an interesting Springer to work on. Because this build was so enjoyable, I'm gonna go check out his Raven kit. There's a P90 type of looking Raven kit that he's done, and he also did a collaboration with Urban Blasters, and so that's probably the next one of these I'll be looking at. As always, I want to thank you for watching today's video. I'm DrFlux. Be safe and happy foam flinging.